eventually decided I wanted to go back to school and pursue medicine. So at my university, our basic sciences were taught in Poland, fortunately in English, and I had the option to do my clinical rotations in the US. So I ended up doing most of my rotations in the Chicago area. Even though I enjoyed my time in Chicago and also Poland, I know it can be pretty tough to study for exams while doing rotations. Whether it's your NBME exam, your shelf exam, or your step exam. These are all pretty tough exams, and also you're limited on time. And I also personally believe that everyone learns and studies different ways, and it's important to figure out what works best for you. But having said that, these are my own top 3 tips for studying for the shelf exams or step 2 while in rotations. So tip number 1 is to study at least a little every day, or at least most days. I know it can be pretty tough sometimes when you feel really tired at the end of a long day. But if you can do as much as you can every day and be consistent about it over a long period of time, you're going to be able to retain that information a lot better. And personally, I like to create a study schedule. If I know what material I want to cover, I'll have it spread out over that time period so I know every single day what I need to do, whether it's a certain number of pages from a book or a certain number of questions. I'll also schedule in catch-up days and just days to relax. The catch-up days are just days that I used to catch up on things I didn't get to over the last week. But if I am caught up, I'll use that time to review topics that I know I have trouble with. And to help you with this also, I definitely recommend you take advantage of the downtime that you have during rotations. Instead of just pulling out your phone and playing with it or chatting with your friends, you can use this time to knock out a few extra practice problems. I personally like to do this during my psychiatry rotation just because they had us round real early in the morning by ourselves, and we would have maybe 15-30 minutes of downtime before the attending would come in. So during that time, I would always pull out my phone and do a lot of questions. Of course, you want to make sure you only do this when it's appropriate. You don't want your attending to think that you're not interested in your rotation or that you're just goofing off. And tip number 2 is to take advantage of every learning opportunity you have during rotations. So this includes all the resources around you, whether it's free lectures, shadowing opportunities, or simply just talking to other residents or attending doctors and letting the people you work with know that they can contact you if they need anything, and you're willing to learn new things, whether it's new procedures, new techniques, as long as they're appropriate for you to do. And whether you think you need to know them in the long run or not, I think it never hurts to have a better understanding of what your current and future colleagues and coworkers have to go through. So not only will the medical staff appreciate your help and probably notice that you're hustling, but hustling in a good way, but you'll end up being more engaged and learning more from the additional hands-on experience. And it's going to help you remember the right answers more often than not when it comes to exam time, just because you can pull from your real-life experience in the wards compared to just what you remember from textbooks. Tip number 3 is to do what you think is best for you. I know that sounds pretty basic, but I think it's something that we often forget about. And it's always good to look to our classmates and upperclassmen to see what they did to be successful. But I'd say you have to think about that advice and to see if it really applies to you or not. Basically, don't take anyone's advice as a hard and fast rule, and that includes mine. So just as an example, I know in med school, I've had a lot of classmates that tell me if I want to do well on a specific exam, I have to study from this book only or that book only and use only certain flashcards. So what I realized is, like, while those things may have been really good for those students, they may not be the best thing for me, because I might learn better with a different style of studying than them. And I'd be wasting my time if I just blindly followed what they did. Some people learn better with specific types of studying. So for example, with my
tips, tip number 1 was to study at least a little bit every day. Tip number 2 was to take advantage of every learning opportunity you have during rotations. And tip number 3 was to do what you think is best for you. Studying while completing rotations can be pretty challenging, but I hope some of these tips helped.